This afternoon we have joining us Carmen Payne. Carmen is a life coach. She owns the SOAR Transformational Life Coaching service. She's going to talk to us about that, and she's going to speak to us about panic attacks and how to manage those. So Carmen, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Before we talk about panic attacks, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
What your life coaching is all about and how you got into that.
I've kind of been on a personal growth journey for about 10 years. And then I really decided to get into it around 2012, 2013. And I kind of had a wake-up call. I was like looking at my resume, and it was 20 years into my corporate career. And I went, I can't do this till I retire. I've got to do something else.
Understand.
And what would that be? So I looked at my resume and I said, what did I really love to get out of bed for? What made me jump out of bed in the morning and just walk through those doors and really enjoy my work? And it was when I was training and coaching and mentoring people back in the UK, back in the late 90s. And I really loved that role. And when you can see the light turning on in people's eyes and what they're learning from the coaching, it was just something I realized that was really true to my heart and who I am as a person, is like being out in the world and teaching and training and mentoring people in that capacity. And so I said, okay, what can I do today with these skills in order to put me on that path, this path of being able to coach, teach, train kind of thing. And so I don't know anybody else who does this, but on my birthday, I like to get my cards read. And
okay.
I do that every year. And so I went and got my cards read, and the lady who was reading my cards, she said to me, Carmen, she said, I hadn't told her a thing. She goes, you need to be teaching or training or coaching or something. And I was thinking, oh my God, did you just read my mind?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I want to be in my life. And then she put me, she gave me the name of this school that's in Tempe. It's called Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. And she said, go on their website, look at the courses that they provide. She said, I think you're going to find something there that really speaks to you. And she was absolutely right. So I went on their website and I saw that they had a transformational life coaching certification class. Because of my corporate background, I wanted to feel like I can't put myself out there as a coach, hang out my sign as a coach, unless I had some kind of credibility associated to it, because anyone can become a coach. But for me, and the way my mind works and how I interact with other people, I wanted that credibility behind me. And I also felt like I needed to brush up on all my skills, because it had been a while since I'd done coaching specifically, because I was doing IT project management at the time, which is a very different skill set.
Totally different world.
Totally different world. And so anyway, I did the 120-hour certification. And then just recently, I did another coaching certification because I want to keep my skills up to date and everything like that. So I'm a twice certified life coach. I call myself a personal and professional development coach because I feel that resonates with people more. And in 2015, I started to build my exit strategy out of my corporate career.
Oh, okay.
And then last June in 2017, I decided that was it. I was going to leave. So actually, I made the decision in the beginning of the year to leave mid-year, and I did. I followed through on that plan.
Congratulations.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is wonderful. Good for you.
SOAR has always been available to people. I've been working on SOAR part-time since 2013. As soon as I got certified, I started coaching people and stuff like that, but it became officially full-time my career back in June last year.
Does SOAR stand for anything, or is that just a name?
It does, and it just came to me one day during one of my classes that I was taking. And we were doing this process. And I always say to my clients, I wouldn't put you through a process that I haven't been through myself. And when I've gone through my certification programs, they put you through your paces. You go through all the processes that you will take a client through. So you're going on your own spiritual journey, your own personal growth journey. And you just show up in the world very differently when you've done all that work, that inner work on yourself. And so I can't even remember the question you asked me now, but
But it's your company named SOAR.
Yes.
Okay.
And that came to me, it came to me during one of my classes that I was taking. And I just had this vision of me soaring, and the people the souls that I serve, just ascending from where they are now to where they want to be. Like, my tagline is ascend your life, take flight, and soar. And that's really what I want people to feel, that feeling of freedom, and that they're not stuck where they are, that they can move to where they want to be. And coaching is a vehicle to help them do that. It doesn't necessarily be with me, but if you're out there sitting on the fence and thinking, I need somebody to help me get to achieve my goals, get me out of where I am and where I visualize myself being, coaching is a really great way to get you there.
And it's so appropriate to call it SOAR.
Because you're rising above your whatever has got you stuck.
Yeah.
Right. And I was my first client, being
there you
completely
go.
transparent.
Were you happy with yourself?
Yeah. You didn't fire yourself.
Give yourself a good review.
It's interesting because I always feel that we're always on a growth. We're always growing. If you're open to learning and improving yourself as a human being, I feel that we're always growing and moving forward. And so for me, even though I've done all this training, I'm always growing. I don't want to stay stuck where I am. I always feel like I'm moving forward in some way and just integrating everything that I'm learning, and that I can share that with my wonderful clients.
And I'm sure there are instances where perhaps you learn something from your clients.
Absolutely, all the time. That's what, I always try to have this mindset of being open to receiving, learning from everybody, whether it's positive learning or negative learning, right? Because you see examples of both out there in the world and you go, oh, I don't want to do that, but I want to do that, right?
Sure.
So you want to emulate what speaks to you in a positive way, not necessarily in a negative way. And I've had some wonderful directors or managers leading me, and I've had some terrible ones. And I've learned from both, right?
Sure.
Having done 25 years of my being in corporate, I've experienced the whole gamut. And, they've all taught me something. I can't look back and say I regretted working for anybody, because they all taught me something.
Nothing is wasted experience.
No. It's all, if you look at it as a lesson, everything is a lesson. You can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track to helping people out.
Oh, yeah.
And enjoying being able to do what you're passionate about.
Oh, my God, I love it. I love it. Everyone I work with, I just, you kind of, you fall in love with them all a little bit, and, you have that compassion for them, and not you don't feel sorry for them, because I always want them to feel empowered and a victor of their situation, not a victim of where they are. I always visualize my clients as powerful and empowered, and that they have everything that they need in order to succeed. Right. And that they are abundant in whatever it is they feel abundant, they want to create more of in their life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there a certain time period where you stay with a client, or once you've agreed to become client relationship with them, do you just kind of hang around forever for when they need some help?
It works differently for everyone. Some people want, a short, sharp experience with a coach. And I have a client who's been with me for 2 years, and we just check in once a month for half an hour. It's a very kind of concise coaching session. And actually, those sessions can sometimes be more productive than a 1 hour session. And then I have other clients who schedule me for 5 to 6 sessions, and I have different packages that they can look at that they feel comfortable with, and things like that. So, it really depends on the individual. I do a lot of career transition coaching, interview preparation coaching, and for those clients, they're usually with me for 4 or 5 sessions, and we're done.
Gotcha.
Fingers crossed, they get their job of their dreams, and they're done with me. And then they might contact me in a few months and go, hey, Carmen, I got this other thing I'd like to work with you on. And yeah, absolutely, come back and I'll happily help you.
That's great.
That sounds really satisfying to be able to do that for people.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it's really wonderful to do. I do a lot of group workshops too, and that's always fun. I really love the wisdom in the room. It's not, I'm just the person that's facilitating the discussion. I really love to hear everybody's wisdom, because we all have our own wisdom, and what somebody else shares in the room can be much more profound than anything that comes out of my mouth, right? So I really love to encourage people sharing their wisdom with each other, because that can be very powerful. It can be very healing. And it can also turn on, again, it just can inspire people and encourage them in so many different ways. So I just love that interaction and that banter.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So panic attacks, which is the specific topic, and there's lots of things we could cover and what you might help people address.
Right.
First of all, what is the definition of a panic attack? What is that exactly?
For everybody it can be different, but for me, when I've experienced them, and it's funny because I was talking to a gentleman yesterday at all places at this Career Connectors event. It's a non-profit organization that brings people together in the community to help them find employment. It's really wonderful non-profit. So I happened to be there in the audience yesterday, and he somehow in the conversation was sharing with me that he had panic attacks, and I'm thinking, this is divine appointment right now. You and I are having this conversation. Is perfect. Yeah. So for everyone it's different. They can come out of nowhere. You'll just be going along your day, and all of a sudden you're feeling your heart starts racing. You have trouble with your breath. You can get disorientated. You can feel like you're going to pass out, or you're having a heart attack. You feel like you're going crazy because you don't understand where all this panic is coming from, because like I said, a lot of the time it can be a smell that triggers it. It can be a sound that triggers it. It can be where you are. So if you're in a crowd and you all of a sudden feel overwhelmed from being in that crowd, you can be in an enclosed space, like maybe on an aeroplane or on the London Tube when I was living in England, like on the tube. So it can happen at any time, and the symptoms for everybody are different. Like for me, I feel like when I was having them regularly, it felt like the walls were closing in on me and the space was very claustrophobic. And I could have been in a room that was 100 feet by 100 feet, but I still felt like I was in that feeling of claustrophobia. And there were times when they were pretty bad where I felt like I was clinging to the ceiling, and I was just in this state of sheer panic. And when I was speaking to this gentleman yesterday at Career Connectors, he was describing the very same symptoms. He said he actually felt a lot of anxiety and panic on his drive to the event yesterday, and he got one in the car, right? So if you've never had one, it's really hard to have you can't have empathy because you've never experienced it. And people say, well, what are you panicking about? You're not being chased by a bear and nobody's chasing you with an axe, right? It just seems completely illogical. Sure. And when you're in that state of having a panic, it's really hard to remember that you're safe. And so, the reason I wanted to talk about it out in the open, because there's also so much shame associated to having a panic attack. People don't want to talk about it. When you have them, you don't want to be an embarrassment to those around you. Right. When I was having them in my late 20s, if I can share a story.
Absolutely.
So when I was in my late 20s, I was traveling all over the world for my corporate job, and all of a sudden I started to have panic attacks. Now, I didn't even know what they were. Okay, I was having this sensation of feeling like I was going to pass out. I had shortness of breath, heart palpitations. I was like, didn't know whether I was going to puke or poo. I mean, I was just like, everything was going on at the same time. It was really unpleasant. And I thought I was losing my mind. And so when I came down, because when you're having a panic attack, everything is heightened. All your senses feel like they're heightened, and everything is, magnified. And so when you calm down after a panic attack, your adrenals are at real max, your adrenals are maxed out. And so it takes the time for the physical symptoms to kind of just settle down. And you kind of think like, oh my God, what just happened to me? And so I really did think I was going crazy. And
how long did that last? How long did the actual attack last?
It's like a long few minutes. I mean, they can last for like 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes longer, half an hour. It really depends on what your triggers were or whatever's going on for you. And also what tools you have to help you calm back down, right? If you don't know how to calm down, then you can stay in a panic attack longer than you need to be, right? Because you don't have the tools to help you kind of breathe through it and all that kind of stuff. And I can talk about that. I'll definitely talk about that in a bit. So anyway, what compounded my panic, if you like, was the fact that we have a history of mental illness in my family. And so I thought, oh my God, am I having a nervous breakdown? Am I going to end up in a padded cell somewhere in a hospital and never leave, So I was just, all these, negative thoughts patterns were kind of just layering on top of the panic attacks that I was experiencing at the time. And I honestly thought that, oh my God, I'm going to end up in the hospital. And my real mother, she died at the age of 28. And for me, so it was, I was at 28 years old, and I'm thinking, oh my God, am I going to live out the same legacy that my mum experienced, right? Dying very young at 28 years old. And so all of this stuff was just piling on top of my experience of a panic attack. So what do? I kind of deal with it for a couple of months on my own and just think it'll pass, and it didn't. Because I was too embarrassed to go talk to anybody about it. And I was married at the time, and my husband's very British, stiff upper lip and all that. And you just don't worry, just no compassion at all for what I was experiencing. And so he said, look, if you want to do something about it, go to the doctor. And because, again, of our family history of mental illness, and the last thing I wanted to do was go to the doctor and get drugs for dealing with panic attacks, right? And so anyway, I went, and the doctor prescribed me these beta blocker pills and everything like that. And I really didn't want to take them. And so I took them because I thought, well, I've got to do something, because I'm working every day. I still got to get my paycheck. I still got to try and act normal in the world. And I'm using air quotes right now, because normal, when you're having panic attacks or trying to deal with them, is really hard to do. And so I took the pills that he gave me, but I broke out in a rash all over my body. I went, oh my God.
Yeah, now what?
The cure was worse than the disease.
So I was like, no, I flushed those down the toilet, and I went, and then my doctor suggested going to a therapy group and stuff like that. But for me, sitting in a room with people, and I know this works for people, so it's not that I'm being derogatory about it, because I know it helps people. But for me at that time, sitting in a room with other people, sharing experiences of their different panic attacks and how suicidal they were, some of these people, it was just too much for me. I just didn't need to be around that energy. And I was like, I can't do this, because this is making me feel worse when I leave than better. And so that whole experience didn't work out for me. And I really wish I knew then what I know now.
Of course.
In order to help me get through panic attacks a lot quicker. It was just, and I was flying long haul a lot at the time. I was getting on 14-hour flights flying from the UK to Malaysia. So, I was in this state of panicking about panicking, right? What if I suddenly have a panic attack on the plane and I can't breathe? There's nowhere for me to escape, because you get in that fright or flight sensation, right? Because your adrenals are so high. And so in the panic. And so I used to dread walking down, the tunnel that you walk down to get onto the plane.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I would step, even now I'm thinking about it, it's crazy. Right? But that feeling of, oh my God, I'm now going to be shut in this container that's going to take me thousands of feet in the air, right? And I can't escape, right? So when you're suffering with panic attacks, that feeling of you can't escape, It's very real. It's very debilitating. You know, there was a point where I didn't want to go out because I didn't want to go to work and have a panic attack, because again, you're panicking about panicking. I didn't want to go out with my husband and our friends because we would sometimes go up into London, and that meant getting on the tube. And then I had that same feeling of claustrophobia. And what if I have a panic on the train? And so it got to the point where I didn't want to go anywhere. You know, and for many people who suffer with panic attacks, that's what they're experiencing. It paralyzes you, and it's very debilitating. And, you know, unless you have tools to help you get through it and calm all the nervous system, you know, all the different systems in the body, the physical systems, and also work on the mind as well. Because it's not just one or the other. You have to kind of do all of it. You can, if you let it, panic attacks can really keep you a prisoner in your own home.
Sure.
Because you just don't want to go anywhere.
Right.
You don't want to embarrass anybody. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. You don't want to be seen with shame. And there's a lot of, you know, all the judgment that comes with it.
Because people expect you to just snap out of it.
Right.
You know,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, my husband had that actually. My ex-husband was like, just snap out of it. He goes, and he would say to me things like, and he didn't know what he didn't know. So I think my ex-husband's a wonderful man, so I don't want to say anything bad about him, but he didn't know how to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to deal with it, then that's your immediate, like, snap out of it. What the hell's what's wrong with you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He just wanted his wife to be normal again, right? And so I did my best to get up every day and be normal for a long period of time. And it was hard. I mean, I think that when I was 28 years old, it took me about a year to get through it, because I just didn't know. I didn't want the drugs and I didn't want the therapy. I just felt like I could deal with this on my own, and I didn't tell anybody about it. I think there was very few people that knew that I had them. I didn't tell anybody at work, right? Because I didn't want that judgment or them to think that I couldn't perform my job efficiently.
Exactly.
And all of that stuff. And I was a fool. In a way, I was so naive about not sharing what was going on with me, because now I know I probably would have got a lot of support had I spoken to the right people and things like that at the time.
But you needed support to help you take that step.
Right, exactly.
So it's kind of all over the place.
It really was. And so I want to tell your or share with anybody who's listening to this recording that, you know, if you are having panic attacks, I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm really not a doctor, but I'm just going to share with you what I did to help me manage through it. But what I will say to you is, don't be ashamed. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel self-judgment. And I feel emotional about this because...
It's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
Just have a lot of compassion.
Which is good. I mean, the compassion you feel is not only for yourself, but for others.
Yes. You know, and it was so, excuse me, I don't know, I'm a very emotional person, so I'm sorry. That's why I do what I do. I help people get in touch with, thank you, I took the whole box of tissues.
That's okay.
But just start with having compassion and empathy for yourself, and stop beating yourself up about the fact that you have panic attacks, because you can do something about it. You have a choice to make. You don't have to suffer indefinitely with them. There's so many things that you can do for yourself to help you through it. And the gentleman I was talking to yesterday, like I said before, it was divine appointment that he was sitting in the chair next to me or one away from me at this event yesterday, because I feel like every time I help somebody else, it helps me. That's my reward for doing what I do. And he left there yesterday, and we hugged each other. You know, we were complete strangers at the beginning of the conversation, and at the end we were hugging each other.
Not anymore.
Right?
Yep. Because there was somebody he could talk to that had compassion for what he was experiencing. And I said to him, look, I know I was like giving him all this information. I'm like, I know I feel like I'm preaching to you, but that's not my intention. I really want to help you.
And he could sense that from me. I know he could sense that from me. And he goes, Carmen, everything you're talking to me, you're just making me think all these different things. And I can, he could, because I'd experienced it myself and he was having very similar symptoms, he really could relate to everything I was sharing with him. And he was open to receiving information on how he could help himself, right? Which is what I like to teach people, how to fish. I don't want to be the one that's fishing all the time.
There you go.
You know, it's like teaching people how to fish, and then they can go off and figure out how to do it, right? And use the tools that I like to share with people when I'm coaching them and stuff like that. So anyway, so that's my first round of panic attacks, but then, they came back. For years I was fine. I would have the odd one, but it wasn't debilitating and everything. And because I learned tools and techniques, I could get through them a lot quicker. But back in 2016, I decided in my wisdom, I was still working for my employer, to take on a secondment, like a second position on top of the one I already had. And it was a position where I could travel across the US with a group of other people to facilitate, coach, and train this new program that they were rolling out. And I thought, this is totally in alignment with SOAR, transformational life coaching.
Yes.
I can use my facilitating, coaching, and training skills. I'll definitely pick up some new skills along the way, right? I thought it was in complete alignment with where I was going on my career aspirations, right? Where I wanted to go with my coaching practice. And so they scheduled me. I was interviewed for it. I got booked on the 2-week training course over in Texas. And it was so funny because I'm driving to the airport, and I'm in the airport, and this feeling of just like doom came over me.
It came back.
And I was thinking, oh, this is not good.
Yep.
Because I didn't understand where it was coming from, right? It just came out of the blue. And I'm thinking, don't worry about it, Carmen. You're doing the right thing. Go. So I got on the plane. I land really late at night where did we go? I can't even remember. I think it was Dallas. I land in Dallas. I get off the plane. I'm still feeling I could feel like my nerves were just on edge. And I was like, what is going on? I get to the hotel, and I begin to feel the familiar feeling of panic and anxiety. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not good. I'm here for 2 weeks. I need to be focused on the training. So anyway, I get to my hotel room, and I have a full on major panic attack. And I didn't sleep at all that first night I'm in Dallas. I get up and I go to the training, because I'm on automatic pilot. And I get up and I go to the training venue. I meet all the other people in the room, and I can feel myself putting on this mask of normal, right? So everybody else sees me as this normal. Because when you look at somebody, you can't see panic attack. It's not like you've got a cut on your arm and everything, and people can see that you're bleeding, right? You look normal to everybody, right? So I went through that training, and I just used the training as a way to focus. I used it as a focus point, right? So not think about my anxiety and having a panic attack in front of all these people. And so I get through that training. I go back to my hotel room that night, and I have another major panic attack. And so I kind of went, Carmen, this is ridiculous. You have tools, use your tools. So I started to use all my tools. I was breathing, and I have a whole list of things I can share with the listeners, but I did I used a lot of my tools. And then I realized that sometimes, and this for some may seem a little bit wacky, but we always look for external things to help fix us, right? We go externally to help fix us. And what I've learned doing this personal growth journey of my own in the last few years is that you don't go externally, you have to go within. Right? It always starts within. You have to go internally, and that's where change begins. Right? That's what I feel anyway. And
no, that's correct.
So I sat on this hotel room bed, and I just got quiet. I managed to get quiet, and I asked my higher power, I said, what is it that I should be hearing that I'm not hearing? What is it you're trying to tell me? Because I knew something intuitively, I knew that my body was trying to communicate to my brain in a very dramatic way that a message, and I just wasn't getting the message. Right. And if I look back on the experience I had in my late 20s, the same thing was happening. I just didn't listen because I didn't know to listen. Right. So I sat on the bed and I got quiet and I said, okay, what is the message I should be hearing that I'm not hearing? Please help me understand what the message is. And it was so amazing because within 30 minutes, a very strong message came through. And maybe it was just me talking to myself or higher power, whatever you want to believe. But I know it was a higher power saying to me, Carmen, if you go through this training, this is taking you further away from creating your SOAR coaching practice rather than bringing you closer to it. And when I received that information, I just, all of a sudden, all this weight that this feeling of dread and this feeling of doom just released. It just left my body. Now, I was still dealing with the aftershocks of panic attacks because, the physical symptoms and the kind of I call it aftershocks because you still feel the aftermath of it all. Sure. They were still in my body. But in terms of where I was at on a scale of 10, I was probably 100, right? I was back down to feeling like a 5 or a 4. And I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. So literally at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm emailing my boss. I'm emailing the guy that had organized all this training. And I'm doing the emails, and I said, I'm going to get on a flight back to Phoenix tomorrow because I realized that this is not for me. Now, I'm doing all of this, but all these negative thoughts are coming up. What are people going to say? What are people going to think? Everybody knows you went on this training back at the office, right? You're letting everybody down regarding the people that I was doing the training with. This guy that was very enthusiastic about me becoming one of these facilitators and stuff. I knew I was, are you going to let him down? So all these negative thoughts were coming through, all these worrying thoughts were coming through, and then I just said to them all, shut up.
Good for you. Yes.
Sometimes you just have to tell those thoughts to shut the F up, right? Yep. So I literally said, shut up. And when I know, and when you listen to your gut, you listen to your intuition, you know what you're supposed to do. You just need to make sure you don't let those other judgmental, sabotaging thoughts, those limiting thoughts, keep you where you are, and just stand firm on the path where you're going. So that's what I did. I literally, by 11 o'clock that morning, I was on a flight back to Phoenix.
Wow.
Which is what you should have been.
Yeah, exactly. Because I knew that's where I should be. That's exactly the decision spiritually, physically, mentally I had to make. And so before I left Dallas, I had to have the awkward conversation with the guy that had organized all the training. Right. And he tried to do the guilt trip on me. Well, you're going to let all these people down. And I said, I'm aware of that, but they'll get over it. Right. Yeah. I mean, literally, they'll get over it.
It's not your problem.
Yeah. I said, I have to do this for me. I said, I appreciate you having the faith in me that I could do this, but I just know this is not where I'm meant to be right now. And I could tell that he was disappointed, but at the same time, I tried to deal with it with a lot of grace, right? And there's a way to do that, everybody, if you ever want to know. But there's a way to do it with grace. And so I did it with grace, and we left. There was no animosity. And I had a conversation with my director at the time, and he said to me, Carmen, are you sure you want to do this? Because I know you were really passionate about doing this. And I said, no, I know I'm doing the right thing. And I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to do this, but I know I need to be back in Phoenix. I said, I recognize that this is not where I'm meant to be. And he didn't know this, but I was getting that message loud and clear, right? Through having these panic attacks. So I got on the plane, and
so you didn't share any of that aspect of it, that
no.
you how you got this realization.
No, I didn't. Okay. Not with my manager or with the guy that was organizing the training. No, I didn't, because there's things they need to know and there's things that they don't need to know.
That's right. Yeah.
And for me, that wasn't part of the information that they needed to know. That was, for me, how I came, I needed to apparently experience that, because my body was like, you're not listening to me, right? You're not. Hello. Right. And so it really gave me, it was like a wake up call, like, oh my God. So what transpired out all of that, though, was I really got focused on my exit strategy from my corporate career when I got back to Phoenix. And I'm so thankful in a way that horrible experience that happened, but I'm so grateful that I have all these tools to help me figure out how to help me get through panic attacks so much quicker and really tune into my body and my spirit and my mind about what is actually going on here that I need to listen to, and I need to listen to it right now.
Wow.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, absolutely. Carmen, that was a very powerful account of what you've experienced. So tell us, what are the kinds of techniques and tools that you've learned to deal with this type of experience? It sounds absolutely horrible and overwhelming.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is. At the time that you're experiencing them, they are horrible and overwhelming. And like I said before, they can be triggered by many different things. It could be a buildup of stress that you've been experiencing at work or in your personal life, or a combination of the two, especially if you have a lot going on. It can be, maybe you've had this gentleman I was speaking with yesterday, he had a bad car accident. And so for him, his trigger was driving in the car, right? Uh-huh. And so, and then he shared with me that he was having them in other places now, which he wasn't expecting to have them, like when he was going on a hike and stuff like that. And I said, I completely can understand where you're coming from. So I shared a bunch of different tools. But so for those of you who have panic attacks, so that you don't feel alone, I just want to share with you some statistics, because it was, and this is what we know of, but 4 million Americans suffer from panic attacks.
Wow.
Okay.
But you wouldn't have thought that.
You would never have known that, right? Unless you'd looked it up online. And that's 5% of the population that we know of in the US, and globally it's 1 in 13 people that we know of that have panic attacks. And who knows how many more people are out there that are experiencing them but have never asked for help.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right? So, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to share with you some tools on how you can help yourself energetically and obviously physically, because I feel like you should integrate everything, use all the tools in your toolkit to help you overcome these panic attacks. And if you're in one, to get you through it a lot quicker, rather than being in it for 20 minutes, maybe you can half that time, right? Or even eliminate it within the first few minutes,
sure.
Right? In some cases, right? So I use them all, okay? And you just use what works for you. But if you know that, these are energetic suggestions. So, right. So do what I did and just ask yourself, go within and just get quiet and ask your body and your spirit and your mind for that message. What is it that you're not hearing that you should be hearing? Right. For some of you, it could be that you're having this wake up call because you're on the wrong path, or you're further away from where you need to be on your life's journey. So you need to listen to that message, right? So just ask that question. And, maybe for you, it won't come within 30 minutes. Like I was so lucky that message came in 30 minutes, right? But sometimes it might take a few days or a couple of weeks, right? But and be really open to receiving the message in any form, right? It could be, like for me, it was the voice in my head, but for you, maybe, I don't know whether this has ever happened to you, but maybe you're out in public somewhere and you overhear a conversation, and that conversation, you hear it, and that message is for you, right? I don't know whether that's anything happened to anybody here in this booth, but so and maybe you look at a license plate and there's wording on that license plate, that's another message for you, right? Just be really open to receiving messages from wherever they come from for you, right? And then listen and take action, right? Listen to that message and take action, take inspired action from that message, right? Just like I did in Dallas. Like, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to book my ticket. I need to get back to Phoenix. I need to get back on my path for my true soul's journey, which is doing what I'm doing today, right? So just be open to receiving messages from maybe your animals, you know, symbols that you see. Just, there's so many ways that messages can come to us as human beings. We just need to be really open to receiving them in all those wonderful.
Well, and there's so many subliminal messages out there.
Exactly.
Even a little background on the television,
right,
or the radio.
Exactly. That's a brilliant. Thank you for saying that, because other messages I've received in the past have come exactly through the TV screen, right? I've listened to somebody talking on the television. I'm like, oh my God, I think I was meant to hear that right now, right? And I'm sure that's happened to many people. So that's a brilliant example, right? So on the radio, maybe a song gets played and the words in that song are speaking to you, right? So just be really open. I know this sounds wacky, but we as human beings are so amazing that we communicate on so many different levels that are unseen. Truly.
Sure.
And so, you know, the words we use is only 7% of our communication. And then, you know, there's body language and facial expressions and the non-verbals that we use. But there's so much more outside of that the way we communicate. We have an invisible communication channel with each other. And so just be open to receiving all of that. Those messages from any way they come, even if they seem balmy to you, right? A little crazy. And then take action on what you're being told. And there's other energetic healing that you can have, like Reiki. Massage is a wonderful way to try and help you get relaxed and get all your nervous system calm back down.
Well, those two there will also help move around some of the poisons in your system.
Exactly.
That have probably built up because of the energy that's being used.
Yeah, we have 12 different systems in the body, right? So all of them need to be taken care of, right? Not just, and they all help the mind, right? Because your body speaks to your brain and your brain speaks to your body, right? There's all this communication going on inside, right? So anything you can do to help you energetically just heal and just calm everything back down, because when you're in that state of prolonged panic, right, you have one and then you kind of calm down, and then you have another one and then you calm down, right? They all build on each other because you have this constant like ripple effect going on in your system. And so it's almost like you have a heightened sense of awareness, a heightened sense of smell, sound, sensitivity to everything. It can be very overwhelming, right? And you just need to help your system kind of calm back down and not be this hyper kind of super sensitive to everything that's going on around you. I remember when I had them in 2016, I came back from that in February, and in June we were going to New York. I'd never been to New York before, and I was still kind of like I was having a lot less panic attacks at that time because I was on my way, you know, I was tapering them down, thankfully, because of the tools I've been using. But we went to New York, and my God, the first couple of days in New York, I didn't know what hit me because it's a very vibrant city. There's so much energy and noise and sound and, you know, you name it. And for my slightly frayed nerves, you know, my nerves, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to kill me, right? And so, you know, the first couple of days, I really had to talk to my physical being and say, okay, you're fine, you're safe, you know, like just do the self-talk and just calm myself down and just not get overwhelmed with all the sensory overload that was happening to me at that time. And if you are naturally sensitive or an empath and you are really adept at picking up other people's energy, you really need you have panic attacks, and you don't realize that you're so empathic, could be another reason why you're having them, because you're taking on all this energy and you don't even realize it. And then you're taking on other people's emotions and you don't realize it. And this causes you to have a panic and you're like, what is going on? Right. So learn as much about yourself and who you are as a human being and a spiritual being as well as you can, because all of this stuff will help. So the other things I use are emotional freedom technique. Have you heard of tapping? It's where you tap. It's like acupuncture without the needles, right? So if you don't like needles, this is perfect for you.
I can do that then.
Right? You tap certain points on the body that activate and release blockages of all the different meridian systems in your body. And it's Eastern philosophy, but it was popularized by a guy here, and I think it was in the US, a guy in the US back in the, I'm going to get all my information wrong here, but anyway, there was a gentleman in the US, I think back in the 60s, that really kind of created his own system for it. There's tons of information on Google about emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. It's really simple to do. You just tap different parts of the body. There's a statement that you say as you do it, and it's actually helped people with post-traumatic stress. I mean, it's a very powerful, non-invasive, natural tool that you can use. And I don't know whether you have an email list that you send out to, but I'll be happy to send a handout to you guys to send to your listeners.
Great,
about that.
thank you.
Or they can email me. I'll give my information out. The other things that I also suggest is like I said, massage, Reiki, chakra healing, hypnotherapy. I did a lot of hypnotherapy. I had a lot of hypnotherapy done to me when I was having panic attacks in my late 20s. And it really helped me a great deal, just calm everything down, right? Because your adrenals are out of whack at this point, and you've got the stress hormone going crazy and stuff like that. So hypnotism was really great at helping me just focus on my breathing and just calming the mind. And anytime I felt like I had a panic attack coming, I would just focus on my breath. It was really simple, just breathing. And the breathing technique I would recommend people do is they breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 2 seconds, and breathe out for a count of 6 to 8. So you want to breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for a count of 6 to 8. And just as soon as you're feeling yourself having that anxiety build up and you think, oh my God, I'm going to have an episode, right? Just breathe. With regards to tapping, there's one place on your face that you can tap that releases the chemicals in your body to tell your adrenals that all is calm, all is well. You're not being chased by a bear or an axe murderer, right? The place isn't on fire, right? So if you tap with your two fingers just underneath your eye, where you can feel the socket, the bony part of your eye, where on the bottom there, just tap and just tell yourself all is calm, all is well, and you just tap until that feeling of anxiety starts to gradually dissipate. And if you can do that right at the beginning as you feel one coming on, it will really help just calm everything down, because you're just focusing on the tapping and your breathing. And it's really helpful. And you can do that anywhere. Now, you can do it anywhere. And I say to people, if you're panicking about panicking in public or wherever you are, just say to yourself, so what?
Yeah, there you go.
So what? Have that attitude, right? When I was having them in 2016, I was starting that vicious cycle of panicking about panicking at work. And I'm like, screw you. I don't care. If I panic at work, I panic at work. I don't care. And as soon as I put on my I don't care attitude and, got all sassy about it, it really helped me mentally. Because I was just like, if it happens, it happens. I have people around me who love and support me, right? Who are going to take care of me if it happens. And it'll be a funny story to tell sometime in the future, right? You can have a laugh. You got to have some sense of humor around this, because we can get so bogged down in feeling the fear and paralyzed by that fear that humor really helps. It's a real great antidote to helping you on the path to your recovery, right? And helping your body see the funny side of it. The most, I can laugh about it now. I went on a gliding flight with my partner. It was on my bucket list to do for years. I couldn't wait to do it. And we did it here in Phoenix. And so I see the cabin of this glider plane, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so
What am I doing?
small. What am I
Very
doing?
small.
And, you've got like less than 3 feet of space. And my partner is not huge, but he's a big guy, he takes up space, and then there's me, and I'm kind of hippie and all that, you know, I've got hips, and I'm thinking, how are we going to fit in this plane? But we squeeze in, and the lid goes down, and I could feel my panic rising. And I'm thinking,
bet I would.
I'm feeling panicky right now.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is, Carmen, you've been looking forward to this for years. What is going on, right? So I'm doing the self-talk and I'm trying to breathe. In addition to that, we wanted to have a video experience, and I'm in the back and I'm just having a full-on panic attack. But at the same time, I'm like I'm doing the breathing and everything like that. And I'm thinking, I don't want this to be on video, right? So now I'm got the shame, right? And so we do this 20-minute flight, and I'm trying to appreciate it, but I'm literally white-knuckling it the entire time.
Wow.
And my partner, Joshua, he was just so sweet. He's just like, I wish you were enjoying this. And I'm like, I'm trying to. And so I'm having this panic attack. We land, and then we get the video, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I do not want to watch this video because it's me having a panic attack. And then I'm like, and then I sort of checked myself, and I went, you know what? If I can't see the funny side of this,
There you go.
you know, I got to see the funny side of this. So we watch it, and I am laughing my ass off. I'm just like, oh my God. My stepdaughter is watching it too, and she's cracking up. And so if you can just laugh about it and have that, I devil may care. I don't care if I'm in public and it happens, because it's only 10, 20 minutes of my life, if that, because you're going to be breathing and doing the tapping and all these other proactive ways of helping you through it much quicker, right? Have that attitude. Don't worry. Don't let it keep you stuck at home. Don't let it prevent you from going out. Don't let it prevent you from getting in the car, going on a hike, doing the things that you want to do to live a normal life. Because if you have one, you have one, right? It's really not a big deal. And I'm not trying to be flippant, but if you have that mindset about them, that it just interrupts that pattern, that cyclic pattern that you have about panicking, right? Because you're just like interrupting it. You're saying, so what? I'm going out anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
And if it happens, it happens, right? And I know it's easier said than done, especially if you're in the throes of experiencing them. But don't let it, I can't stress this enough. Try and go about your day as normal if you can, because that will also help heal you and put you on the road to recovery a lot faster if you still try and keep your routine going, because it will help you focus on that rather than panicking about panicking. And if you have your coat on when you go out, your jacket on that says, screw it, I'm going out, and if it happens, it happens, chances are it'll never happen, right? Because you've already interrupted that pattern.
That's it.
Right? So that's one technique that I use. And as soon as I did that, I can't tell you how much lighter I felt, right? You just feel lighter because you're just like, I'm not worrying about that anymore. I'm not going to wear that like a boulder on my shoulders every time I go out of the house. I'm just not.
That's no way to live.
Right, it's no way to live. I'm just going to put my epic coat on, and that's my invisible cloak, right, that I'm going to go out with, and I'll be fine. And if it happens, big deal, so what? It'll be a funny story, right?
Well, I would also think the more you become scared,
right,
the more you're going to be susceptible to another attack.
Exactly, because... Okay, so I'm a certified in law of attraction. So we learn all about universal laws, and one of the and I'm sure you've heard many people say this, but it's what you focus on, you attract, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to stay in fear, you'll just attract more fear. But if you want to put your jacket on and go and live your life and say, you know, I'm going to live my life, and that's what I want to focus on, then you'll attract more of living your life. Right? And having normality come back to you, and they'll start to dissipate. You'll just recover from them so much quicker. The ones that happen when they're happening, you'll be able to recover from a lot quicker. And then you won't be in them for years and years. You'll be in it maybe for a lot less time than that. You know, when I experienced them in my late 20s, I went on for over a year. When I experienced it back in 2016, I want to say it went on for less than 6 months. Right, which is huge for somebody who's experiencing them, right? And they were, and they tapered off. It just tapers off and tapers off and tapers off, right? So in that 6 months, it just tapered off and tapered off and tapered off. So other things that I do, I recommend that people do is reduce or eliminate your sugar intake, and in any forms of sugar that you have, right? So it could be sweets for you, it could be alcohol, it could be you eat a lot of carbs because your body changes that into sugars. So if you can reduce your sugar intake, your body will help you heal a lot quicker and recover a lot quicker from them. Try to eat foods that non-processed foods, like not necessarily organic, but if you can afford organic, great, get organic foods, but eat non-processed foods. So eat healthily. The more good nutrition you can put back in your body, again, this will all help towards your healing.
Sure. But I don't like kale, though. I'm just telling you that right now.
I'm not saying go on a juice diet or
good.
anything like that, but just like eat vegetables, eat fruits that are low in sugar, right? Or don't eat fruit at all initially. You know, when you're starting on this path of recovery, you know,
It's like a detox.
It's a detox
Yes.
almost, because your body needs that, right? And also, you know, you go through different phases of your life. So sometimes your hormones are really out of balance, and that might trigger panic attacks in some people. So, you know, whatever's going on in your body. So these are like the basic things that I do. I don't hardly ever drink alcohol anymore, which I really miss because I love a good martini. My other half makes the best martinis. I don't eat a lot of sugar. I try not to anyway. I'm kind of a junkie on eating crisps, which of course are carbohydrates and stuff like that. But, you know, when I was going through my healing plan, if you like, for panic attacks, this is what I do. I don't eat sugar. I don't drink alcohol. I always have eaten non-processed foods. I'm very good about my diet. Try and get to sleep 2 hours. Try and eat 2 hours before you sleep. Because when you're sleeping, your body's going through this cycle and if you eat too late, your digestive system is going to be working, and that will keep you up, and sometimes that will make you have a panic attack. So a lot of people will suddenly wake up in the night in a panic, right? And if you're experiencing panic attacks and eating late at night, that's just gonna potentially cause you to have even more. So I recommend that you try and eat no later than 2 hours before you sleep. If you can eat even earlier than when you sleep, better for you, because you're less likely to wake up in a panic. Exercise. Physical activity is wonderful for the body anyway, but when you are experiencing panic and anxiety, it's a really great way to just release all that nervous energy and just get it out of your system, almost like you're almost exercising the anxiety out of your system, the panic out of your system. So do whatever feels comfortable for you. I go on a vigorous walk, I jog, I hike, I run a lot. Something just to burn up that nervous energy that you might be carrying around. Or, you know, whatever works for you, just do something physical. I can't tell you how beneficial that is, because it's also excellent for stress management, right? Physical exercise is great for stress management, and you need to be proactive, right? These are ways that you can be proactive for your health and for your spiritual and mental well-being, and really mitigate and prevent the onset of panic attacks in the future. Meditate. If you can meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes, whatever works for you. And all you need to do is just focus on your breathing that I explained earlier. Just focus on your breath and just imagine yourself well and safe. And I know for some people that if you have still heightened adrenals soaring through your system, sitting still for 5 to 10 minutes can seem really hard, right? So the way I get around that is I'll either listen to a guided meditation so that I can focus on that person's voice, and that will get me through that 5 to 10 minutes, or I'll do a walking meditation. So I will go outside and I will go for a walk and look at things of beauty, or I'll drive to somewhere that just makes me feel very calm and very safe. And I personally love being surrounded by nature, and if I see the odd critter along the way, that just makes me feel even better, right?
Yes.
So just do a walking meditation and just focus on where you're at while you're walking, taking all the beauty around you, taking all the ugliness too, right? Because it's, you know, wherever you are, if there's something of interest that you can look at, just take it in and just keep your mind focused on where you're at, and try not to let your mind wander onto your massive to-do list that we all have, right? That's never ending and always with us.
One thing I do,
Yeah.
adult coloring.
Brilliant.
I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but now all of a sudden it's the rage.
You're a trendsetter.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody looked over my shoulder. But you have to focus on what you're doing. Number one, you have to visualize the colors you're going to use.
Right.
What will work together, won't work. And you don't have time for outside sources.
Right.
You know, so it just kind of puts you into that little
That
space.
zone.
Yes.
Yeah, that zone of being creative.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So beautiful, such a beautiful thing. Yeah, I love that suggestion. So like paint or color or do something that helps you to be creative. Laugh. Laugh. I can't stress that one enough. Watch a stupid cat video. You know, do whatever makes you laugh, right? Watch a funny movie. Make a commitment to laugh at least multiple times a day if you can, right? Because the more you laugh, you're just releasing and you're building up your vibration, your energetic vibration to be in that place of joy, right? That place of fun. And the other thing that I suggest that people do is stay in gratitude, right? Be grateful, because again, the more that you stay, and I'm not just saying, list off a bunch of things in like a monotone feeling.
Tick it off your list of...
Right, when you thinking about what you're grateful for, really mean it. Really genuinely feel it, mean it, absorb it, because the more you can get into that feeling of appreciation and that feeling of gratitude, again, it's so healing for your body, because again, it raises your energetic vibration. It puts you in that place of feeling joy and happiness, which is really what we're here to experience in this world, is our joyous and to be joyous and happy. Right? We're not here to necessarily deal with panic attacks every day of our lives, right? Or worrying about panic. So the more you can be in appreciation, maybe journal 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for and really mean it, that will just put, again, that your mindset on the positive rather than on the negative things that you might be experiencing in your life. Very, very powerful and very simple and easy to do. So simple and easy to do. As I said before, don't panic about panicking. It does not serve you. It just doesn't serve you. So put your effort jacket on and get out there and just laugh. If you start to worry about panicking, laugh about it. Laugh at yourself.
There you go.
Right? That's what I started to do. I'm like, it's funny.
Yeah.
I think I'll entertain everybody if it happens, right?
Gather around.
If you can see the humor in it, try to see the humor in it. One other thing that I used to do, and this is really great, if you are really at the beginning of this experience, I used to do a lot of scream therapy. I don't know if anybody's ever done that.
Yeah,
so awesome.
in my pillow.
On purpose.
Right? But I used to, when I was living in England, and I used to do this. We used to live near a very major road, and it used to have a lot of traffic. I would go outside, not where anyone could see me, and just scream at the top of my voice. I would just scream, just this guttural scream. It's such and I know it sounds crazy and nuts, but again, you're just releasing. It's the way of your body releasing it physically. Whatever you're holding on into internally, you're just releasing it and letting it go, and just scream your head off, right? I love to scream.
Or do it in your pillow.
Or do it in your pillow.
If you don't want to frighten the neighborhood.
Right? But you want to do a fully throated scream. Scream so loud that it hurts you. Again, it's just a way of releasing all that nervous energy and just helping you get back on the road to recovery and eliminating these panic attacks. For some people, this may not be something that you might want to do, but using essential oils is really helpful too, to calm or lift your mood. So like, for me, my go-to oils are lavender. That's a calming oil, right? We all know that. The other one I do to lift my mood is smell citrus, right? So anything in the citrus family, like my favorite is bergamot. It's kind of like this orange lemon smell, so divine, beautiful smell. But if you don't have that, you can use lemons or oranges, something just to kind of lift your mood. They're instant mood lifters. So
and there's no excuse considering the citrus we have here.
Exactly. I mean, we live in a beautiful place that has citrus in abundance, right? So they're all the things that I use, and the key is to be consistent. You want to be proactive about it, right? My recommendation is just be proactive. Start implementing 1 or 2 of these things every day and just see what works for you. Experiment and have fun with it, right? It's not one over the other. Just use a blend of these different things that you can use, and all of them will help you. And being consistent and being proactive about it will really fast track you to recovery. It really will. Yeah, but I just want to repeat, when you're in the throes of one, focus on your breath and do the tapping that I suggested, and just tell yourself all is calm, all is well, right? And that will really help to minimize and shorten the length of time that you're in panic.
That's all wonderful information. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you are sharing your own story.
Yes.
And I'm sure that can be somewhat painful for you to have to relive. But I appreciate it, because if you say there's at least 4 million people that are suffering from this, how many more are there we don't even know that are in that statistic?
Or that attribute it to something else.
Right, exactly.
Right. Or feel embarrassed, or even in today's age of supposed enlightenment about mental issues or spiritual issues or whatever, people are still expected to just suck things up and, snap out of it or whatever, and don't want to go get help from someone. So thank you so much for telling that story. That's extremely helpful. And I think people can be in low-grade fear. I mean, I was in corporate for 40 years, right? And I was not, fortunately, the victim of panic attacks. But I realized late in it that I was living a fear-based, really everything was based on fear of what was going to happen in this meeting, this presentation, and you're scrambling around like a little gerbil trying to prevent all of these things that probably are not going to happen.
Right.
And if they do, like you say, so what? What's the big deal? Everything is not about me. People aren't really out there plotting about you in the universe. So it often is not at the level of such a horrible panic, but I don't think people realize that it's that fear can just be something you're constantly is bubbling into your brain every minute. Yeah. It's very destructive.
And I think for me in my late 20s, that's exactly what I was experiencing, was that insidious kind of, if that's even the right word. It was permeating, right, my body, but I had no clue it was even happening, right? It crept up on me, right? And so I really appreciate you for you sharing that, Kathy, because we really don't know that we're living a lot of the time in this heightened sense of fear because we're worrying about what someone's going to say.
That changed my life. That piece of information in my 60s, I wish I had got it back in my 20s, but at least at some point, that realization of, why am I worried about this? This should not be every minute of my life with that fear-inducing voice telling you all these silly things. And it was so freeing.
Yes.
It made my day completely different.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And I now, is there anything you would like, any place you'd like to refer our listeners to how to get more information about some of these tools?
Absolutely. So I have a website. It's SOAR transformationallifecoaching.com, or you can email me at soar.tlc@gmail.com. And I have a handout on what we talked about today, the different tools and techniques I use to help with panic attacks, and also I have also a handout I can email to people on emotional freedom technique and stuff like that, or link to a video.
Or Google it, or
Google it. There's so much information. And I have a lot of coaching videos on my website too. So if there's other things you want to listen to on video, lots of short videos on my website.
So just for our listeners to be clear, that word SOAR is SOAR, just like an eagle is soaring. So when you spell out that website, it's SOAR.
Very nice. Well,
wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
This has been extremely enlightening.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My honor to be here today.
I'm sure the listeners are appreciative as well, because we just sometimes go through life saying, what the hell's going on?
Right.
And maybe this will help them cope with some of those situations.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who have panic attacks think they're having a heart attack and will go see a cardiologist or, and they're going, I'm having a heart attack, and they're not. They're actually having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously get checked out and whatever, but, everything I've shared today really, I truly believe help people. They've helped many of my clients. I'm an example of this too, right? So I really hope that it helps whoever is listening that needs to listen.
So do we.
Thank you, Carmen, so much.
Yes, thank
Really
you so much.
To get started, please call or email me or schedule an appointment on my website,